My name is Cassy Summers. Welcome to the Curious Universe podcast. Hello, welcome to the Curious Universe podcast. Thank you so much for being here today. We're going to jump into some parenting topics. However, if you are not a parent, this could really apply to life in general. But I specifically got a message from a parent asking me to talk about this topic. So I'm going to do it in the parenting realm, but please know that these are tools that you can apply to your life in all sorts of ways. So grateful to the parent for reaching out to me. I love you listeners give me topics of curiosity. It feels like we're creating this together, and that's really my target here with the Curious Universe. Let's get curious. So the topic was so she has a young son. Where is it here? So her son is smart. He's very brilliant. He's super advanced for his age, and he's very, very aware. She talks with him about energies and that kind of stuff, which is great because we do that on the show. But sometimes when she picks him up from school, she can tell he's not happy. And she tries to be the energy of whatever he did not receive at school. And the counselors are kind of giving her this advice, and she's trying to do all this stuff. So she's kind of looking at what do I need to change? And sometimes this kid doesn't even want to go to school. So there's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack. The first piece for any parent, I would always recommend is to destroy and uncreate. We're going to the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement that we use here on the show. If you want more information on it, go to theclearingstatement.com. We always have a link in the description below. But is to destroy and uncreate all of the projections and expectations, judgments, rejections, and separations of you as a parent. So sometimes school counselors and let's do the clearing statement. Right, wrong, good, bad, bot, all 100 shorts, boys, povas, creations, bases, and beyonds. Sometimes counselors or teachers or family or whatever, they might be really trying to help you or help your kiddo or something going on. And yet you have to acknowledge that they have their own projections. They have their own expectations. They have their own kind of ideas and ideals that might not actually work for or match your kiddo or your family. Before my oldest kiddo was diagnosed with autism, there was a lot of projections from teachers at me. I don't know if it was at necessarily my parenting, but at my kid. And at one point, I actually got that two particular teachers were trying to create him as the bad kid in the room. There's always the bad kid in the class that's causing trouble. Maybe he's a bit of a bully, all that kind of stuff. And I know I worked with kids for many years before I became a facilitator, and I often would actually befriend the bad kid and find that there was this incredible kid there that there was just something going on that no one was picking up on. So let's clear now. So we cleared it for you as a parent, but also let's clear it for your kid. If your kid is highly aware, they are picking up on this energetically. Even if the teacher isn't saying anything, it could be in their tone, it could be the way they look or the way they ignore, or it's really truly beyond any of that, and it's just an energetic awareness. Kids can literally pick thoughts out of people's heads. So if there's a teacher and they're like, you're such a troublemaker, You're such a pain in my butt. I wish you weren't in my class. The kid is picking that up. Now, some kids, especially kids that might be on some sort of spectrum, they what in access consciousness we affectionately call them the X-Men kids. So they have like these superpowers. What can show up is these kids will start to actually be that which is being projected at them. So if the teacher's projecting at them that they're trouble or whatever these things, then the kid will go, "Oh, I'm trouble. So what is trouble for you? Okay, that's what trouble is." And then the kid will just do that almost like for them, which is crazy. And our kids can do this for us too, like as parents, like so often when there's been something kind of tricky with me and my kids going on, I realize like, wow, somewhere they're doing this for me. And then when I can clear that, and she had asked that, what can I clear for me? When I cleared for me, like, why are they doing this for me? Like maybe it's to prove that I'm needed, or to prove that I'm doing a good job, or prove that I'm like valuable as a parent. For many, many years, people have asked me to do stuff on parenting, and I've been acknowledged by um incredible people that I am really inspired by and really admire have acknowledged me for parenting. And I've always been like, but I don't really parent because I don't have, it's not work for me to parent. Parenting isn't a chore. It isn't challenging. I have a lot of ease with parenting. But I did recognize that at one point I was creating some difficulty and challenge to almost like prove my value as a parent to other people, not even to my kiddos. So when I got aware of, okay, this is something going on in my universe, this is something where I'm functioning from, and then I was able to clear that need, it was amazing that the dynamic with my kids cleared. So I love that this parent, this listener had asked to go into this topic, and she's already looking at what do I need to change. So that's a great place to start, is to so clear the projections on yourself, and now we're going to clear them on your kiddos. So all the projections, expectations, separations, judgments and rejections that have been impelled at your kid, will you destroy and uncreate all of those, even if they're from you or anyone? Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, POD, all 100, shorts, boys, poets, creations, spaces, and beyonds. I actually do that every single morning. You don't have to. I like to because throughout the day in their interactions with people, they're constantly getting projections at. So are we. So you could clear them for yourself, do every day. Clear them for your kiddo every day, and it actually frees up the energy in the space. Okay, so then the next thing I wanted to look at here was she was asking, like, basically, there's a sense of she wants her kid to like school, and she wants to invite her kid to be happy, right? Of course, we want our kids to be happy. Like, yeah. And it can be such a challenge when our kiddos are not happy. So, how much have you actually taken on the role or the job that it is your job to provide happiness for your kids and to make your kids happy? Would you be willing to destroy and create that? Some of you are like, maybe yes, yes. Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, bot, all 100, short boys, poems, creations, basic beyond. So, what's behind clearing that role or that job is any kind of role or job you take, you bound yourself to like a whole box full of things. Like it's not like just this one little thing. If you go, okay, my job is to make my kid happy, then you're bound to these little tendrils of things that you might not necessarily be aware of. And those can create massive limitations for you and actually for your kid. What if your kid requires to not be happy to get to a place where they are going to change something? Now, I'm talking, I don't care what age it is. Your kid could be 2, right? Your kids can change so much. They can change the world. They have these energetic capacities that we can't always cognitize, we can't always understand. I once even allowed a woman, I was at this access workshop, and my little kiddo, I think he was like 9 months old-ish. He was definitely like sitting up. Not fully, but he could lift his head and he was there and able to smile. And he kept looking at this one woman. And I said to her, "Hey, you want to hold my baby?" Like he just kept looking at you. And she had confessed to me. It was a confession for her that she'd never held a baby. Now, this woman was probably in her late 50s, maybe early 60s. She'd never held a baby once in her entire life. And I was like, wow, because kids have been such a big part of my entire life. I couldn't imagine that. I was babysitting when I was, 12 years old. So, and I said, well, would you like to? And she kind of was like, would you trust me? And I'm like, yeah, like, I will. And so she held my son, not even for very long, and he was changing all her molecular structure. Like she literally looked like a different person after this like 10-minute exchange. She didn't really do much. She held him, she kind of looked at him. He just kind of was there like as if he wasn't really doing anything, but energetically he was changing massively. So now if we have this expectation on our kids to always be happy, sometimes there's different energies required to change something. So maybe him like being angry at school is going to bring up something that is actually going to change something in his teacher's life, that's going to change something in the school system, that's going to change something bigger. So we have to take off our expectations and those roles of, so if my role is to make my kid happy and they're not always happy, then I've failed and I'm wrong. See how this happens? And so if you can let yourself out of those roles and jobs, again, right, wrong, good, bad, POC, mod, all 100 short, wide, purpose, creations, bases, and beyonds. You can be present with every moment and start to really look at what's required here. So if your kiddo shows up and he's really unhappy from school, you're asking questions. Obviously, communication is going to differ depending on the age and what's going on, but your energetic communication is strong and build on that energetic communication. You could even ask them, what is it? What is this? What's going on here? And he might not be able to express verbally, but energetically, you're going to start to receive a lot of information, right? Now, if the kiddo is older, gosh, let's take teenagers, right? And of course, we want them to be happy, but most of them are hormonal and essentially moody. And what if that is really okay? I often tell my kid, I'm like, it's okay for you to be miserable right now, if that's what you'd like to choose. Like it's completely okay because the more I'm invested in trying to change his mood, the more he wants to hold on to it. But if I'm like, hey, dude, this is your day. Like, this is your life, and today's your day. So, like, if you want today to be like full of happiness, then it can be happy. If you want today to be miserable, it's completely, and I'm not saying it from a manipulative, like, yeah, I mean, it's totally fine if you want to just have a miserable day, like, enjoy your day. I'm really coming from the space of it's okay. Sometimes I just want to be grumpy. Sometimes I want to shut out the world. Sometimes I got stuff going on and it's going to show up however it is. And just really having allowance with like, you know what? That's okay. Yeah, you could have like whatever you want to create today is up to you. You can have whatever you want today. It's okay. And giving them that permission to not be happy often shifts things into them being happy so much faster than if we're invested in bringing happiness to them. So everywhere you're invested in your kids being happy or your kids being a certain way or your kids being liked or will you destroy and create that? Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, bot, all 100 shorts, boys, bullets, creations, bases, and beyonds. And then we go back to the place where she was asking, like, what can I be? And that is a beautiful question. This is where we start to acknowledge our being is more valuable than our doing. So you want to if you're striving to be like you want to be a great parent or you want to be a perfect parent. I used to want to be a perfect parent until I realized that's a lie. But if you desire to be a great parent, you of course always want to have the perfect thing to say. You want to always make the perfect, right, correct actions. If you like really love your kids, there's this part of you that, of course, that would be ideal. Like that would be the ideal thing until you get to the place where you acknowledge everything is a gift and a contribution, even when you completely mess up, even when you say the wrong thing to your kid. And oh my God, I hurt her feelings again. Like your teenage daughter, right? Oh my gosh, like here we go. What if that was a gift and a contribution too? And so when you start to look at what can I be for my kids, you change the game, so to speak, or the landscape, the playground. When you're coming at it from I'm going to be the best parent or I'm have this role or this job as a parent, right? I'm going to not do what my parents did. I'm not going to mess up the way they whatever, like all of this background noise that comes along with the parenting puzzle actually is what came up. It starts to, when you start to look at what can I be, now you're in a co-creation. Now you're co-creating with your kids, which I'm going to tell you is a lot easier than you feeling like it's your job to create all of this and then to get your kids on board or to force it into them, like force feeding them their vegetables. Like, I'll hide it in the cake. I had this book where you could hide vegetables in like really strange things. Like, obviously, you could put it in like beets and smoothies and stuff, but there was like random things in cakes and muffins. And it was like, wow, you could really do a lot here. Okay. So, like, that might be part of what you're doing here. But what if you really were looking at co-creating and you really acknowledge that this is your kid's life? Like you created the materials, right? And you did the actions that were required to make the kids. But when you allow them to have the energetics of like, this is actually your life, it is not, they are not extensions of you. Okay. They are not extensions of your life. Some people do parent that way. And if you want to parent that way, that's your choice and you can do that. I'm talking to the parents that want something completely different, that want a more uh, conscious parenting, conscious kids sort of conversation here. So in that landscape, in that realm, you have to acknowledge that this is their freaking life. And every day is their, like, it's their day. Today is your day. And with that, you get to create with them. It's not about now okay, it's your life and you have your life and now you get to walk all over me or you get to uh, destroy my life, or you get to do things that affect me. That's not what I'm saying. You don't become the doormat to their life. Their life is not more powerful or potent or important than your life. Your life is what you're committed to. So you be committed to your life and you show them that they can commit to their life by your commitment to your own life. This is that, what can you be? So if you're being committed to your life, if you're being committed to happiness, if you're being committed to consciousness and presence, that is the greatest invitation you could be to your kids, no matter what age they are, because they're in that vibration, right? And kids, you've ever heard the saying of like, you turn out just no matter what, eventually you turn out just like your parents. Well, it's because you are kind of steeped in the vibration of your parents. So you get to choose what vibration you're steeping your kids in, right? By not by what you necessarily do. Sometimes it is. And doing from being is a beautiful thing, but I'm just talking about being here for a minute longer. But when you're being the energy of like allowance, if you're being the energy of receiving, if you're being the energy of communication and co-creation, that is so much more valuable than anything you say or do because that stuff can be forgotten. The energy that you're being is never forgotten. It becomes a part of their being. Yeah. So, what can you be? And so this parent was asking that question. I think that's beautiful. What could I be? But maybe not what could I be to make my kid happy? It's more looking at what's required here. Like what, so there's these four questions in Access Conscious we ask. What is this? What do I do with it? Can I change it? And if so, how do I change it? These four questions are so beautiful and magical. So if you're looking at the situation of a kid being angry or aggressive or unhappy or depressed, so first question is like, what is this? And now, if you've already decided that they're depressed and you're asking, what is this? That might seem like a bizarre question. But if you come out of any decision of the kid's depressed, what if the kid's just hungry? What if the kid is picking up on someone else's depression and they think that it's theirs and it's not even theirs at all? But if you're putting all this attention on changing their depression, but they're not depressed, that is a useless time, useless for everyone's time, right? So here we are. If you're asking, what is this? What can I do with it? Can I change it? If so, how can I change it? And bringing in together the energy of like, what can I be? So what is this? Oh, this is the energy of frustration. Okay. What can I be? What is required here? Can I change this? Yes. Okay. So if so, how do I change this? And you might get make a funny sound, make a joke. You might have to be like you're being the dominant energy and you're coming in strong like, hey, listen, you don't get to be violent here. You don't get to choose this here. And whatever shows up when you ask that question, like what's required for me to be, whatever energy shows up, what if you could trust that that's just what energy was required without trying to figure it out? And you just go with it. Okay, cool. Mama bear came out. Awesome. That's what was required. Tears might come up. Wow. Super vulnerability. Oh, what if that was what was required? So what can I be here? And then the last piece, and we don't really have too much time to go into this, is there is that doing from being. So you might get this space of like total vulnerability and then get the hit of like, I'm just gonna hug my kid. And so that the doing that was an action, right? So I'm embracing the kid and I'm hugging them. But where I'm what I'm being in that hug is so much more important than a hug. Does that make sense? Because I could come in from this like vulnerability of like, hey, hey, you okay? Or I can be like, oh, I'm hugging you because moms should hug or parents should hug when their kid's upset. Do you see the difference? So what you do is like 1% valuable, maybe two, depending. What you be, that is everything in parenting. So play with that, dear listener. Thank you so much for your question. Play with these things, clearing those projections, and then you might want to get a little bit deeper and start to uncover if there's sort of a pattern that you're noticing, then there's definitely something going on. And to get to that, you're going to have to get that's something we can't really get to on the podcast. You're going to have to start getting into some bigger questions depending on the age of their kid. If your kid is older, then you can through questions you can start to get pull it out of them of like what is the deeper thing going on here. If it's a younger kid, you might not get that verbal, but when you ask the questions, you're going to start to uncover what is maybe their teacher is mean. Maybe there's a kid that's picking on them and they aren't able to communicate it. Maybe that school is really just not the right fit. And there's energetically, your kid might be aware of something different. So, what if you start to look at, like, okay, is there a different school? So, you're going to have to use your questions and your exploration to uncover what else is possible there. Thank you so much for that question. Thank you so much, everyone, being here on this podcast. If you know a parent and you know someone that is interested in some maybe out of the box parenting tips and tricks, please feel free to share this podcast with them. And if you have any parenting questions or any questions whatsoever that you would like me to explore, please reach out. You can message right on the YouTube channel or right in Spotify or iTunes, wherever you're listening to this. You can email me. I always have different ways for you to connect to me. I'm also on social media. I'd love to hear from you. I would love to talk about those topics that are really up for you and that you're really curious about. So thank you so much again. And what else is possible when we are in the curious universe where we bypass the structures of reality so you can create your own magical, miraculous reality? We'll see you in the next show. Bye for now. Thank you for exploring the curious universe with me. Your curiosity matters. And what if together we could create a greater, more curious world?